been wondering about what's been going on the local, on the global, all across the horizon. At the rising of the dawn to the setting of the sun, when the night creepeth in, more and more havoc is run. DMC, do more crazy things, get done while you sleep. It's the turning of a chapter, the end as we speak. Too much BS on the regular, causing all the secular, segregating energy. The world needs an editor, scripted on a regular, building up the reservoir, not heading for the jugular, restructuring the cellular. I'm telling you, not sparing you, enlighten you, not biting. Are you ready for the truth? Take a look all around you. Lately I've been wondering about what's been going on. We be pushing, eventually it's gone. On a daily I've been wondering what's been going on. We be pushing, eventually it's gone. Every little thing, it's gonna be alright.
It's gonna be alright.
About a thing. Every little thing, it's gonna be alright. Let's just take it to the chorus. Wait. Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. How many? 3 little birds sit by my doorstep, singing sweet songs. Take it to the chorus. Melodies pure and true. Singing, this is my message to you. Sing it. Singing no more about a thing. 'Cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Sorry, I had to take it to the chorus. We had to take it to the chorus. Hi.
Love it. Oh, that's made me feel better already.
Sorry, guys, we were feeling a bit tired until that. Hi, my loyalty.
3.
What's going on?
Well, Boulevin. Okay, it seems like Trey's a bit thingy. She was meant to start, so
no.
I'll start here. A big Boulavinaka, everyone. Several here, coming to you from the Direct land in the Eora Nation, and paying my respects to the elders past and present, and those emerging. A big Boulavinaka to you from wherever you are listening in today. MJ, how are you?
My Lord Elile, it's so good to be here today, and I hope that you're feeling good. I think it's good. Everyone needs a bit of Bob Marley just to get them back up and on track again. It's been a good week, and I'm so happy to be here and see the 2 of you, and of course, those of you joining us from wherever it is you're joining us from. Don't forget to put a comment in and tell us where you're joining us from. Trey, how's your internet?
Well, the that song has "We Are the Three Little Birds," right? And we're gonna move.
She's on mute.
We are going to move through. Now, Oceania 2 is all
it's all sharing. Part of the stuff that's happening. The mud is so strong.
Oh my gosh. Trey, you all right now? You with us?
But I hope so. I was waiting for you guys. That's why I didn't jump in. But, you know, it's good to be zooming in. I'm out here on Durrag lands of the Wemali clan. And, you know, this is how it happens, right? Every show is different. And, you know, when we have our own internet servers, we'll have more control. But for now, we've just got to go with what we've got. And we push through as we do. But excited for tonight's show. We've got some amazing peeps. But over to you guys, Sev. Tell us about Oceania 2.
Yes, well, Oceania 2 is all about sharing information, ideas, and resources from our Pacifica communities here in New South Wales and beyond. So be sure to let us know where you're joining us from. Share some love, likes, comments, and anything else you'd like to share with us.
My glasses keep fogging
all the
up.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All the good stuff. Because it's too hot in here. They're not enough all that energy.
It's
I'm just
getting hot in here.
Yeah, no, it's because I keep blinking, you know, like I look like something's wrong with me when I don't have them on. Anyway,
So today on our
Oh,
show,
good.
what's coming up on our show tonight, Trey? Who are we speaking to?
We've got these three phenomenal young people that we caught up with from Western Sydney: Leon, Nina, and Rosaline, who's been on the show previously. They share their experiences during the lockdown and give their own views and advice about the COVID response and some suggestions on how the lockdown could have been handled better. So stick around for that.
Yeah, and I've got a chance to catch up with Shiva Gowden, who's
Yay.
my Fijian brother. He's apart from
Yes.
being an awesome contact in the community,
Oh,
he's also
amazing.
he is volunteer coordinator for Greenpeace Australia Pacific. He's currently in Glasgow, and Shiva shares some very blunt truths. He doesn't really hold back about the climate crisis and world leaders, and he says some pretty pretty straightforward things about Scott Morrison and what he's been up to over in Glasgow.
Awesome. I love that about him. He's straight talk, right? And we also have the lovely Moana Swanky joining us also from Glasgow. She spoke with Mary Jane earlier on this week about the excitement around the opening of COP26. Moana was with Brianna Fruin. I don't know if any of you have seen that incredible speech that she did. Pacific climate warriors who delivered that speech to world leaders at the opening. Mo also shares what was going on backstage. So we're excited to hear about what was happening up front and also what's happening backstage. Miss Trey.
So good. That was a historical and very proud moment for Pacific people and for our youth. So let us know if you caught the speech. Tell us what you think. So 7MJ, how was your week? Let's share a photo of what we got up to.
Do you want me to go first, Sev?
Yes, please.
I'll go first. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Monday had a big meeting workshop with my Matavai crew. Our team are coming back together. We're kickstarting Matavai classes next week. And so we came together to figure out how to be engaging in Zoom because we're going to start off with Zoom. And then on Tuesday, Monday night, was it Monday or Tuesday? Monday, we come home and Brianna's speech was on.
Tuesday.
What a way to start the week. Brianna Fruin killed it on fire that night. And then we went to Hamilton. So I'll show you a photo. Hamilton is playing at the Lyric Theatre in the city, and we're really, really grateful to Rad Kid Mob, who hooked up some tickets for a crew of us from Matavai, and thanks to Trey as well. And this is us, abiding by the rules with our masks because we couldn't watch it without our masks. Worst experience ever wearing masks. And of course, I'm here with my sister, Trey. That's us at Hamilton. And this is us without masks. There you go. That was my week.
Beautiful.
With
How
family.
exciting.
That was an amazing experience.
It was.
Yeah.
It's
and
exciting.
I'm so happy. Sorry, Seb?
No, go on. Your turn.
No, just happy that we got to share that experience. And, we need to advocate for more experience like that to ensure young people get to access spaces like that. Can I say I was blown away by that show because, I didn't even realize that they were rapping until I went to the show. And then I realized this is a hip hop theater production. Like I hear Lyric singing and rapping it around the house, but I didn't notice until we got there. And, the beats were like, it was hip hop beats, hip hop lyrics, references to Tupac, Biggie, Mobb Deep, a lot of hip hop methodologies in how the production was put together and gave us so many ideas, and I'm excited. I was just amazed because, we were doing hip hop theater here over a decade ago in Sydney, and we were doing it in small spaces, but now seeing that on the main stage at the Lyric Theatre, predominantly Anglo audiences, I was like, wow, these people are paying $100, $200 to see hip hop. Very excited for the space here in Sydney, and culturally diverse cast, so the creator Lynn Mandel made a conscious effort to ensure that there's diversity in all his projects. So they refer to this as conscious color casting, so I looked it up. Like he demands that it has to be X amount of casting, you know, diversity, like all these demands. So it's not what goes on stage, but it's behind stage as well. And speaking of behind stage, you know me, I always have to go and check what's going on. So this is underneath the stage, and the performances were happening up here. And see this railing? This is where the first row of seats were. So we were sitting probably about 25 to 30 seats back. But down here is, you know, you can see the violin, the double bass, the drum machines. You know, hip hop people will know that's how our beat started, and all the instruments. To me, I'm like a nerd. I have to figure out how this stuff all works out. So, you know, it was a beautiful experience, and I'm glad that, you know, our young people got to experience that, and we want to go back. So, you know, it was a great start to our week. Very exciting. Lots of amazing things.
And thanks for inviting us. And what about you,
Thank
Rocky Balboa, with your...
Yeah, I'm in the hood today. I kind of feel like it's a little bit cool tonight, right? I don't know where you are. So I just thought I'd put on a little bit, because I normally walk around with very light clothing. So I'm feeling it a little bit tonight. Yeah, well, it's been a very busy week, lots of movements with me transitioning. And I also had time to catch up with the lovely MC Trey for our first real planning meeting for the things that we do together with events, and just trying to catch up in person. So here's a little photo. Is there a little photo somewhere? There we are. So that was us. We look like we're from the Matrix somewhat. Well, and in our black and our dark glasses, but we got a lot of work done in good time. That was in Parramatta, in a nice coffee shop there. And so that's sort of the highlight to my week, since there were so many movements and online meetings and things like that. That was my outing. Nothing as glamorous as you two going out and watching amazing shows, and I'm looking forward to going to watch Hamilton, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That was our first face-to-face meeting, right? Our first production meeting. Exciting. But, you know, I'm glad that we all got to meet up, you know, this week, and we forget that we've only been talking online. So it's good to see each other in person. And, you know, we've got some amazing things lined up as well for the rest of the week. But up next, our first interview is with a group of young people that we've caught up with, Leon, Rosaline and Nina, incredible young people from Western Sydney, and they shared with us about their experiences during lockdown and their thoughts and ideas on the COVID response. Take a look at this.
Tala for lover, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rosaline and I am 24 years of age. I identify as...
Oh, let me see. Let's try that again.
Tala for lover, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rosaline and I am 24 years of age. I identify as Samoan and I live in the Blacktown area.
My name's Nina Iono. I'm Samoan. I'm from Mt Druitt. I'm currently working in the community service sector as a caseworker for Mission Australia. So I work a lot with young families, and I have 5 brothers. I'm the only girl. I love rugby and I support the Wallabies. Always have, always will. And like I said earlier, I'm a massive advocate and for all things Pasifika, very passionate.
Guys, I'm Leon Tavive, 22 years of age. I'm Australian with Samoan background. I'm from Western Sydney, Mt Druitt. I love to play sports, rugby, OzTag, anything, you name it. I also love to make music. I'm actually in a music group called Manifold. And what we do is the purpose of our music is to put a positive message out for our community and our area to the world. Yeah. The equality between the different communities, the different areas, like as we've seen last month, the 6 of our boys won the NRL Grand Final. And that's a big achievement for our area. And like just knowing Mt Druitt to be like one big family. Everyone was out on the street partying, just showing their support for the boys. And yeah, but then the media just like shut us down, and like they were like saying like, oh, erupting chaos in Mt Druitt. But then like I also seen like things like people in partying in the beaches, like people going like COVID wasn't a thing. Like I don't know, like, and I'm pretty sure like if Rabbitohs won the grand final, like people in like the city areas would be partying, and it would be a different story for the media. But like, yeah, and I'm pretty sure like COVID started in the city areas too, but people from Western Sydney are like the ones suffering. And like, yeah, it's like tough for us. So yeah, that's what I'd like to see improve, like the equality.
Yeah, we drove, and it was within 5 kilometer radius. We were just in the car, but then like when the media reported that, it doesn't fit their narrative of us, and so they continue to box us and use those, like Leon said, those very strong words that continue to label and other us within the community.
So I guess during COVID there was a balance of negatives and positives that I experienced personally. I would say the positives would be having the opportunity to continue my employment and education working from home. So that was awesome. I consider myself really grateful compared to a lot of other people I know that unfortunately did lose their jobs due to COVID. And also working within the disability sector, to be able to still have interactions with my clients. I was just very grateful for that, because especially during COVID, a lot of people were losing their way. So for me to be able to continuously support them was a real blessing. Another positive for me would be, despite the fact that we couldn't travel more than 5 kilometers at one point, I actually discovered a lot of local places that I didn't know about before, that I probably wouldn't have bothered to look into before. And yeah, it was really good. I don't think they give Western Sydney a lot of credit that they should. There's actually some really nice parks around here, and I'm happy that I got to discover those. And I guess the negatives would have been, I guess lockdown can be really isolating sometimes. And as much as I love my family and love living with them, there are times that I want some space from them. So yeah, just that bit of juxtaposition, like you feeling isolated, not being able to reconnect with friends or extended family members, but then also being at home and then feeling smothered at the same time. But yeah, like overall, I'm very, very blessed, I feel. And I think what I could have done better was, I guess, utilize more time to looking into self-care. I did utilize a lot of time with my weight loss journey, but I guess mentally I feel like I could have done more for myself in that way, whether that would have been, I guess, reading or trying out a new task. I'm someone that I'm a little bit hesitant to try new things even if I want to, so I could have probably looked into that more.
I felt like in prison, like like I was on like parole. Like I had like a certain guidelines that I had to follow, and if I didn't, then I would cop a fine or anything like that, because we were heavily policed, and we had strict curfews. Like for example, the whole 9 to 5, was it 9 to 5? Oh no, sorry, it was 5 to 9 or something like that, that curfew that we had, and it was heavily targeted amongst our LGA also, and just within Western Sydney in general. And I just felt like it was awful what they did. It felt like you were imprisoned, and then with the whole choppers going around, and they even had drones. I have a few colleagues that live in Ropes, and they said that they saw drones. So yeah, I just didn't like how there was like a difference in treatment, like political treatment from like our big leaders, and you saw that we, like what Leon mentioned, we suffered the most, and we had to literally, and we were over policed, and also all the videos online, like you'd see people just going to the cemetery to visit their families, and the police were there, like the police were everywhere. It was like it was like it's in a very controlled environment, and then to see pictures of other people just lying there in the beach from like the outer suburbs, it was obviously disheartening. Like you're just thinking, oh wow, like, you know, like in my head it just shows, like for me it's like, oh wow, like money really does talk. Like those were the thoughts that were running through my mind. Like, are we in a movie? Like, are we in Hunger Games? Like it's like the survival of the fittest or the survival of the richest.
Personally, for me, it was pretty hard not being able to do what we do in our normal daily life, like seeing friends, family. I also went from playing sports every day after work to not working at all or doing anything. I literally didn't leave the house for about 6 weeks. It was hard. I also had a weird experience that like I just said, I didn't leave the house for like 6 weeks because I lost my job to COVID. I had to go for a new interview, but I had to test negative to get the job. But the test came back positive, and like Nina was saying, there was, like you guys were saying as well, there was police everywhere. And after I tested positive, I had the police and the army showing up at my house like every morning, like just making sure I was at home, doing stuff like that, following the restrictions. And like Nina said, she felt like she was on house arrest. And yeah, I definitely felt like that. Like the only time I could come out of my room was like for the police to see that I'm home, or to eat dinner or whatever else like that. Like Nina was saying, money does talk. Everyone from Western Sydney either lost their job or not able to work. Yeah, people in the beach area still being able to work and do whatever in their daily lives.
Like all the issues that were happening actually like motivated me to sort of see what I can do to be more like aware, like, and to be more like, what I mean is to be more aware, not to be apathetic towards these issues, like especially in a political sense. Like for me, I kept telling myself, I cannot wait to vote. Like, you know, like I was just so excited, like writing down these points, like I can't wait. And for me, I used social media as a way to sort of like let my you know, frustrations out, but obviously in the very not in like anything, you know, just in a very like educational sense where I'm learning, and I want the audience with like around me or that are viewing my posts to also learn from. I also was able to like DM Ed Husek like on the side, like just, you know, and some of my friends even started writing to their MPs, and it was good. It was very like empowering, like just turning like a negative into a positive type of thing.
The support that I had from everyone, family and friends during lockdown, was like a big thing for me. I was also joining these community catch-ups, so we had like these Zoom calls, and it was just people from the area, like just talking about the issues that we have in our area and how we can address them and put it into action after the lockdown ends. So I joined those. Not everyone I know has that support as well, so just for anyone that knows anyone that's going through stuff like that, just reach out to them. Yeah, just let them know that you're there for them.
I just think they should have just been fair, like we mentioned earlier, like just an equal lockdown where all LGAs were under the same restrictions and so forth. Like it wasn't specifically targeted. I was so sick of what the word that Gladys always used to use, area of concern, like LGA area of concern, yeah. So I think just equal playing level field type of thing, and yeah, just that's all we want, is just equality. And I think another thing I want to see more is just more people from ethnic backgrounds like standing in front of the TV, not just like a white middle-aged man, because I can't relate to that. So I feel like, yes, Gladys was, you know, she did amazing, you know, as a woman, and she's also, you know, being from an ethnic background. Like, although yes, I didn't agree with some of the ways that she handled it, but I think it was nice to see something refreshing on TV.
The support that I had, I was lucky enough to have that. Like, for anyone that is going through that doesn't have that support. Like, who knows how they'd be like mentally. So I think having more support from organizations and stuff like that. And yeah, big thing, equality. They wonder why Mt Druitt gets called Struggle Street. Yeah, everyone else had their jobs, while Mt Druitt, Western Sydney were all stuck in lockdown, not being able to work or do anything. So yeah, equality could have been better.
I just think it wasn't. And I feel like a lot of the things that were, like, I'm just going to be very honest here, like with it just wasn't heard. And behind every single policy was honestly just like a white old man running the show, and it doesn't represent who we all are as Australia, you know, as the brand new Australia, which is multiculturalism and so forth. And especially like with the voice, like young voices, I don't think it was acknowledged in any way.
I just know that there's a lot of young people in the area that have things to say. Like, they think that we don't have anything in Mt Druitt. But yeah, I think we have everything. Like, family is everything, and Mt Druitt's one big family. So I think that we should all stand up together, stop the stereotypes and the views that people have on Mt Druitt, and like just speak up for our area and don't be afraid to take that extra step. So that's one thing I would want people to take from this.
Let's just continue to move forward, and I know that it's not a quick fix, but we just hope that these solutions that we've put forward is like to help us, you know, better our community, and to also better, like, you know, the future, because we want to see more, you know, more opportunities for our people.
Wow.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
And
Thank
keep
you so
speaking.
much.
Keep speaking. Keep sharing. That was awesome, Trey.
Thank you. What did you think, Sev?
Yeah, great to hear from Leon, Rosalind, and Nina, and good to hear they're, you know, speaking up, speaking out. Thank you for sharing your experience and perspective. Some of the things that I picked up on that is, you know, they're thinking around the equality and how the media portrayed the suburbs, what do you call it? The suburbs of concern and so forth. You know, so I'm glad that they're speaking out about the treatment and the difference that they saw on that. And secondly, their thoughts on politics and about voting and participation. And it is important for us to speak to our local representatives, give them feedback, or get involved into politics as well, you know? And your thoughts? Yeah,
so true. You know, and thank you to Rosaline for speaking as well. And, you know, Nina and Leon, they were part of this Fun Park press conference event, which they got to participate in workshops to share their ideas. So thank you to Meki, Daisy and Savani, you know, who helped facilitate this. And I look forward to more spaces to be rolled out across Western Sydney, because, you know, it gives young people a space to share their ideas, refine their ideas, and then, you know, prepare them for the press conference, but be supported as well throughout that process. It's actually online today, so we can share that link on our Facebook pages. We invited a lot of leaders, and the federal MP Ed Husick joined the press conference, so he was able to hear what the young people had to say, and we'll be following up with him, and also Mahara from Pimdan, and, you know, just to show them this is what the young people are saying. These are their ideas and what they want to see change. And I just love that they're talking about, you know, politics and writing to their MPs, and, you know, our young people are telling us this, you know, so I was just amazed, and I look forward to supporting them and other young people out there. I see Miracle, big ups to Miracle, you know, other young people that have got these ideas. Let's look at how else, you know, we can support you and link you to all the amazing groups and initiatives that are happening around us. So that's the Fun Park Facebook page. You can check that out on Facebook if you want to see the full interview and the press conference.
And just sharing the thoughts of Jamelia. Sorry, I hope I said your name right. I think restrictions placed on LGAs of concern were purely due to the number of positive cases in the area, not due to discrimination. Yeah, thanks for sharing. And Leon said, thank you for giving us the opportunity to share our insight of our area. And I think just one more, again, Jamelia said, perhaps we need to redefine our idea of freedom. Yep, keep sharing. Thank you very much for taking the time to make those comments. Totally inspired by young people. I have been all week, so it's good to hear their views as well. I just wanted to bring us back to Oceanic quiz. So stick around. This time, guys, I have a prize for you. Yes.
Yay.
I do. This time,
Wonderful.
Matavai is going to sponsor the prize. It's going to be a Matavai t-shirt. So if you get the answer right, all you have to do is message one of our pages, either Fiji Day Sydney page or Matavai Pacific Cultural Arts page. Message your email, but I'll have to tell you who wins first. So here's the quiz for today. How well do you know your Pacific Cultural Arts dancing? I've got a video for you. All you have to do is tell me what country, what island country is this dance from? Here it is. Oh, I love this dance. Oh my gosh, you should have seen the rest of it. So what island was that dance from? Here's a hint. There's an island that does a lot of hand rolls. Keep it to yourself, but yeah, oh, we've got some comments. Oh, they really want a t-shirt. No, she didn't want a t-shirt. She wants to say something about the restrictions. I'll read it out in a second. No, she didn't. No, okay. I'll tell you the answer in a minute, Jamelia. Okay, but keep them coming. I've got a t-shirt. We got a sponsor this time. So keep it to yourself. We're going to go to our next interview and I'll come back with the answer. Sev?
Oh, sorry. So up next we have Shiva Goundan. He's the volunteer coordinator for Greenpeace Australia Pacific and is currently in Glasgow as well for COP26. Now, Shiva is Fijian and has also been busy joining Greenpeace at the front line of the conferences where Greenpeace has been holding discussions and negotiations with organizations and world leaders demanding to end the use of fossil fuels. So here we go with Shiva Goundan.
MJ caught up with him earlier, and it's been long days and long nights for our delegations in Glasgow. We are grateful for your time, Shiva. Vinaka.
Yeah, Vinaka.
The volunteer and activist coordinator of Greenpeace Australia Pacific, right? So pretty much any activism you see, any type of volunteer organizing on the ground, campaign actions that happen, just grassroots level work. And my thing is to try and make sure that we have a coordinated approach and we have a big family to try and do that. In terms of, but also because I'm a Pacific Islander, right? So I'm Fijian. My second kind of role has become part of the Pacific strategy in terms of managing relationships. Greenpeace previously has done work in the Pacific, but there's, as all organizations, that is very white in its approach and colonized in its principles, there's a lot of change that's required. But Greenpeace has, like, I got to say, like they're trying their best and to go in the right direction. So having kind of a few of our Pacific Islanders in the Pacific strategy in terms of relationship building, we're trying to make those things right again. That's my role in the organization itself. My role in COP is a bit different. So we've, from just the Greenpeace Australia Pacific office, there's only 2 staff that's there and one's the board member. But we've supported about quite a few young Pacific Islanders to travel. And my role is to tell their stories, one, from COP, but also to ensure that they feel a little safe. They have someone there to kind of guide them, but also have someone to talk to and kind of connect in a very island manner. You know, like Greenpeace International has their own agendas. So I'm part of the Greenpeace International stuff as well. Like today we were part of an action. So every day is different. We've got like 4 or 5 major points. One is that we want Australia to have be more ambitious on reducing climate emissions, right? Like right now, they don't have any 2030 target. They've got a 2050 net zero, but they say net zero, but then there's something called carbon offsetting. I don't know. Carbon offset means they will already put the carbon in the environment, and then they will use technologies which has never been tested to try and get the carbon out of that environment. What really should happen is that carbon should never be in the environment in the first place, right? So this net zero thing is that it's greenwashing. So you're covering it up by polluting it already and saying we'll reduce it after. It's too late. 2050 is just way too late. So they just have to be more ambitious 2030. The other thing was that the financing, right? So every year, the developing countries are promised $100 billion that should be spent on climate crisis, the whole thing about climate crisis and recovering from it and adapting to it and mitigating all those risks, and also then supporting that with extra funds. That hasn't happened. You know, that was promised and it hasn't happened. So the second thing for Greenpeace was to make sure that the discussions involve that. So yeah, carbon offsetting, the $100 billion, and also sharing stories, listening to people from grassroots level, indigenous communities, and start changing those elements. I don't think the discussions right now is at that stage. I don't know if some solutions may be found before the end of COP, but usually it could take years after that as well. And usually, sometimes it doesn't happen till even the next few COPs. I think the younger ones are catching up, some of them, and which is great, right? Like, which is great that they're feeding off each other, the energies and talking. The most important thing is they're learning from each other in those conversations. I've had very little time to be able to, because, like I said, my role is part of Greenpeace Australia Pacific, but I've also got the Greenpeace International things, which takes a lot of time. We start off very early in the morning and we finish very late. Like right now, it's I think 10 something p.m. and I just finished something, so it's just very long. I'm meeting them in the hallway, and also we try and during the day, some of us just try and catch up and just sit down on the floor and just have a chat. With Reverend James has been part of it. Few of us have just kind of got together and decide and have our chats to kind of connect us back to what we're there for, because these conferences can get quite frustrating, and sometimes you just don't know what's happening because there's just so many moving pieces, and I don't know if it even works. You know, it's still very like computer based. So you'll be typing notes, you'll be going to a meeting and then informing people, but I don't know what's shifting. You know, sometimes, so it's frustrating when that happens. But what kind of lets me not be frustrated is to try and meet up with the Pacific family so that we can be a bit more chilled about it and talk about things back home and connect as a family like that. Yeah. The hope is that the countries that are so pro climate change and so an understanding of the communities that face that will put that pressure, especially say, for example, in the Pacific. Fiji is a big country, so hoping Fiji's words and Fiji's pressure on the Australian government could change it. But then that report that we just launched today as Greenpeace shows how Australia tries to silence them by providing aid. And like Reverend James said, that it's not a black and white situation here. It's very grey because Pacific Islanders need that aid from all the damage that climate change and also other types of colonization has done to those countries. So sometimes you can't blame them that they're quiet. You know, that they're not saying things because people are trying to shut them up. We as young people, I don't know if we're making much difference right now, but you have no choice. Like, we have no choice as people from the Pacific. We still need our voices to be heard. So if we get that opportunity to travel and try and share the word in whatever way, if that means being taking a non-violent direct action by getting into a hole and holding signs up, walking and doing protests, getting on news media, all that stuff, at least they're doing something to try and change that. What he came to COP with was ridiculous, right? Like, as in the amount of pressure that's been put always, but the way he gave his speech, and talking about Australian way, and, you know, Australians do this, and it's just a lot of greenwashing, a lot of covering up things, trying to sell a product that scientists have already just shown that it's not the best thing for our communities in Australia, but also communities across our region, and that's fossil fuel mining, or promoting and getting into more new gas projects or coal mines, keeping them open. This is something that he just doesn't have a plan for to shut down. Or when he does say shut down, it's too late. It's 2050 is way too late for those things. 2030 is what scientists hope that all coal mines are shut by. But yeah, I think he's a joke around COP, like everyone. Most countries who are pro climate change or pro understanding people's existential crisis of climate change, they know Scott Morrison, and they know what type of a bully he is when he comes to these conferences. He has no friends in this region, and it's a bit like, as blunt as I can be, he just doesn't have friends in the region, and he calls it a family. If the way it's going in terms of fossil fuel mining and stuff, there's no chance. I know I'm being depressing on that 1.5 thing, but if fossil fuel mining still continues, and we stop greenwashing and we keep greenwashing in terms of carbon offsets and stuff, there's no chance we'll stay at 1.5. Scientists has actually said that if we keep the trajectory going and I'm bringing science into this just to mix it with all the storytelling stuff that happens, it will go to about 2.5 to 3 degrees Celsius, which is like devastating, you know. So if the way we are going, there's no chance. I have one message for the young people as well, that if you are doing activism, let it not be just about a show of photos and like as in where it's just about getting good media coverage and all that stuff. I feel like activism, hoping that those activism then results into policy changes, and don't stop there. Just keep pushing to the point where you get that policy change. So that's my advice to young people when they get onto this, is do your activism and make sure that you talk to your politicians. Just call them up and tell them, like, this is the world we'll live in next, right? So you got to make that world yours.
That was Shiva Gowden, who's joining us from COP26 in Glasgow. He was very tired. It was very late. It was this morning I spoke to him. He was very adamant. As you can see, he's a bit negative about us being able to keep the temperatures, or the rising of the temperatures, below 1.5. What does that mean for the Pacific Islands? Well, we're already seeing the irreversible damage in the Pacific Islands. We're seeing cyclones. Like, I remember when I was young, there were 2 major cyclones in Samoa, and that was it. Like, that was a big deal. And now we're seeing cyclones almost every year. So that's one of the examples of how things are rapidly changing. It means that there'll be more natural disasters, and it's harder for communities like the Pacific Islands, because we're not wealthy countries. It's harder for us to get back on our feet, to repair everything, to build higher seawalls. But you know what? We're Pacific Islanders. We're resilient, and I know that we'll find a way. So although it was a little bit, you know, I was a little bit slumped when he said he doesn't think we can keep it below 1.5. This is where we band together, Pacifica. This is where we band together and we keep fighting. Like the Pacific climate warriors say, we're not drowning, we are fighting.
Yeah. And look, it's not really, for me, it's not being negative, it's being direct, because it is a real threat, right? and to have our head in the sand and pretend like it's just selfish for governments to continue to behave the way that they do and not take this seriously, because it's we're facing the impact as low-lying land and on sea level. The Pacific is facing that in a dramatic way, and I like his advice around being really active in a way that it'll actually impact the policy changes, which is what you want, and it's thank you to Shiva and the team for they continue to do this, and does it with so much passion, so much care, and really, I mean, he's very experienced. He has a wealth of experience. Also, very educated, a young man, but has chosen this field of work and volunteers in a lot of these causes because of his heart. So big ups to Shiva, and good to hear from him, and hope it all goes well there in God's grace.
Okay, so the answer to our quiz earlier on. Sorry, Trey. We're running out of time, guys. Can you it's just getting.
Never mind. People will hang around.
Did you want to add something?
Yeah,
Trey?
I just want to say I think it's great that Pacific peoples are at the table, because we never used to be included. So
That's
it's
true.
decolonizing that process of climate action, and we have to be mindful of the processes, because if we aren't at the table, the change is not going to happen. We
That's
can't
right.
continue to be on the front line. We have to get into those spaces to negotiate, because they're making the decisions for us, and that's
right.
why we're not being included, but slowly we're working our way up. So that's an important part of addressing the issue, and it's a reality. And I've been hearing this from climate activists all week. We have to start preparing for the climate finance projects and responding. It's very sad, but that's the reality. So we have to prepare for that next phase. This is the Prime Minister that took a lump of coal to Parliament. We must remember that. So that's the reality of the fossil fuel, the fossil that we're dealing with, But sorry, I have to share that, but we have to speak up for our peoples in these spaces. But I think someone's going to win the T-shirt. Do we have the answer for the dance?
I don't think anyone answered correctly. So the quiz was where is this dance from? And someone said Tokelau. It's not Tokelau, but nice try. What about you two? You want to take a guess where this dance
I
is
would
from?
never have guessed.
I saw some of the movements and I thought of Tonga, but then I went no. Like there's some Tonga type movements in there, but then it's quite the speed of it, the rate of it is a lot faster than the Tongans do. Yeah, so it's not.
So because hang on. Someone's commenting Tuvalu. No, but nice try. Keep going. Okay, so here it is, right? It is Wallace and Fortuna. Uvea, also known as Uvea. And I think I have some ancestors from Uvea. Beautiful culture. Uvea, Wallace and Fortuna is a territory. It's made up of 3 main volcanic tropical islands and a number of tiny little islands, and it's divided into 2 island groups, and they're about 260 km away apart from each other. So you've got Uvea in the northeast, and then you've got Fortuna in the southwest. So how beautiful is that? Wallace and Fortuna.
Wallace and Fortuna. Yes. Do you have any friends from there? Any of you two? I have.
I have people in Samoa. They used to come and work in, it is nice to meet. They used to come and work in Samoa because the pay was better. So my mother-in-law had a young man who would live with us and work in the bakery, but he was from Serbia. So I'm there.
Yeah. We have some in Fiji with mixed blood.
Yeah. They travel around a lot.
Exactly. Yes. And lots of other mixes that go into. Now, ladies, guess what it's time for right now? Are you ready?
Yeah. And everyone knows what this is? Here it goes.
Yes, it is time for what rocked your coconuts this
What
week?
rocked your coconuts?
Come on, MJ, let's start with you.
What rocked my coconuts? Brianna
Mhm.
Fruin's speech at the opening of COP26. That's what rocked my coconuts. That was so damn good, Brianna. I am so proud. I'm proud to be a Samoan, proud to be a Pacific Islander. Like, that is what we need, man. That is how good our people are. And you have no idea, Brianna, if you're listening, how much you've inspired, not just me as an older person, but younger people too. The important thing is if you have something to say, and I know our culture teaches us to be respectful and humble, but there is a time and a place for it. And right now, the time is to speak up for our families and our islands. And that is what you did. And you did it in a way that was direct. You were succinct. You spoke right to those leaders. What do you say to it? You suck it to them. What do you call that? I don't know if that's the right thing to say. But that's what rocked my coconuts. Brianna Fruin.
Suck it to them.
Yeah.
Yes. Miss Trey, your thoughts. What's your rocked your coconut?
A few things rocked my coconuts, but I saw that image, I think she was talking about it, but the fuel company, the coal company, they had an image of how they would store carbon, putting it back in the ground. And I was like, what era are these people in? You know what I mean? But it just boggled my mind that these people are still thinking like this in this day and age. So hopefully they get cancelled.
Yeah. Thank you. Look, I totally agree with you both. Mary Jane, especially on that. I thought that was just incredible. That speech that Brianna made, and it was just wonderful to watch that and see the spirit of that. You captured that well. Now, up next is our final interview tonight, which is our Pacific Climate Warrior, Mo'emoana Shrenki. On Monday night, Brianna Fruin took the world stage when she delivered a speech at the opening of COP26. Leaders such as Joe Biden was there. You saw him in the crowd. Of course, Scott Morrison, Prince Charles, and David Attenborough. They were all there, and also was Mo'emoana. She was Brianna's chaperone, as only two of them were allowed to attend. So Mo shares with us behind-the-scenes experiences before the show, and we have an interview a snippet of that that we want to show.
But just a little bit of a snippet of Brianna's speech first. Here is a little bit of her speech from Monday.
I don't need to remind you the reality of vulnerable communities. If you're here today, you know what climate change is doing to us. You don't need my pain or my tears to know that we're in a crisis. The real question is whether you have the political will to do the right thing, to wield the right words, and to follow it up with long overdue action. If you're looking for inspiration on this, look no further than the climate leadership of young Pacific people. We are not just victims to this crisis. We have been resilient beacons of hope. Pacific youth have rallied behind the cry, "We are not drowning, we are fighting." This is our warrior cry to the world. We are not drowning, we are fighting. This is my message from
Wow.
Did you see Biden? He was taking notes.
Yeah. Such a powerful
That was just
message.
incredible. Powerful indeed. Especially that bit about you don't need our tears, but do you have the political will?
Right. And they're very careful in how they structure what they say, the Pacific Climate Warriors. We are not victims. That's one of the things they want to come across as. We're not victims and no one else can save us, sort of thing. They are the leaders in this, and they have been. Pacific Island people from the islands, places like Marshall Islands, has been leading the way. And I think that's something we should all, take a leaf from that book. It's so empowering. But here's a message from Mo'emoana, her backstage experience with Brianna that night. Again, it didn't record. Morning, Wanky. How are you? What time is it there?
Good morning. It's nearly 10 here. How about over there?
It is nearly 9. Yeah. And jet lagged? Have you been feeling jet lagged?
A little bit the first 5 days, but now we're in Glasgow, so we got better sleep. Now I'm feeling okay.
Oh, it's great to see your face, Moiki. We've only been messaging. How has your trip been so far?
Yeah, it's been really good. We've been really busy from morning till night. It's been early start, so we get up at around 6 or 7 and make sure that we leave early just to get started during the day. And most days we have activities planned. We've had a few free days, but now that COP's beginning, we are probably going to be really busy for the next 2 weeks.
Speaking of COP, Moana, I just want to say congratulations to your team. We stayed up late last night to watch the opening. You were there with Brianna at the opening. It was just the two of you in that event. Outstanding. She spoke with no fear. She was just so brave. Tell us about your day yesterday. She got to choose one person to take with her, and you and her went together to that opening. How was that? How did that all work?
Yeah, I was really happy that she asked me to come along with her because I knew that she was speaking to world leaders. So just to be in the same room with all the world leaders from around the world was a really cool feeling, knowing that they were just in the other side of the room. But she pulled off a really amazing speech. She was actually one of the first young people to speak, and it was really cool that they got a Pacific Islander to begin the Leaders Summit after Boris Johnson went. He did a pretty good speech, but again, it's just bringing those words into action. And then when Brianna came on, she spoke about the importance of words and the power of words and how they can either save a whole nation or they can sell a whole nation out. And I think that really translated to the world leaders. In the live stream, the camera flicked over to some of the reactions from Biden and other world leaders, and you can see that they were, because it was just the beginning of the ceremony, they were listening, and Biden was even taking notes. You could see on the video as well.
I saw that. I was watching intently on what was going on. Moana, before you went in the room, before it started, you were sending us pictures of all the tables and all the different tags on them, like Samoa, Australia. What was the feeling like for you to be standing in a room that would have had the most powerful people in the world?
I didn't know how to feel. Brianna was really calm walking in there. She didn't really show any nervousness, but when I walked into the room, I just saw rows and rows of tables and I noticed that each table had the country, and there's 2 designated spots for each country. Because of COVID, they can't bring a big group, so only 2 members could be there per country. And as we sat down and they were getting ready for their first rehearsal, I was looking around, and then my eyes just caught with the Samoan little badge, and I thought that was like a little encouragement, because out of all of the countries that I locked eyes with, I saw Samoa and I looked back. So that was pretty cool. And also, when we were sitting backstage, one of the world leaders to walk past was Biden, and I think he looked at Brown and I first because we were wearing big sage in our hair, and I guess maybe the connection that he has with Hawaii, he instantly just waved at us and smiled. So that was like the highlight of the day, seeing him, just seeing that he's an everyday person and he walked past us. And yeah, that was probably a highlight of the day as well. Joe
Biden waved at you. Acknowledged you. Yeah, I watched him walk in. He did come from a different direction to everybody else. So he walked in past you and Brianna. Well, you must have been shocked at seeing him there next to you.
Yeah, I could see like a few security guards, and I was thinking, oh, maybe someone important is coming. And then no one really noticed but me and Brianna that he was walking past because it all happened so quickly. And instead of us like saying hi, we were just like starstruck a little bit, just knowing that he was only meters away from us.
I know. I've just got some question. How was Brianna just before? I've watched a few interviews already. Just a little bit of noise there, but I've just been really keeping on track with what everybody's doing over there because it's so important. How was Brianna backstage before she went on? Because she just did not look like she was at all nervous.
No, she wasn't. She was really calm, and she was receiving messages from like you, Mum, and she was receiving messages from her family and her friends. So I think she just knows how important that position that she had was, and that she just wanted to go on stage with as much confidence as possible. And she already knows that she has the community behind her. So I think that was pushing her along. And yeah, we were the calm ones backstage because a lot of the other speakers were like frantically reading their speeches, making sure they weren't going to forget anything. But Brianna and I were like just practicing the TikTok that we wanted to film after.
I saw you practicing TikToks, and it looked like you were practicing it in that room.
Yeah, that was all her. She was like, "Can we learn this so that we can post it?" So we were like dancing and laughing backstage. She was really good. She was really calm, and when she got off, it was kind of like nothing to her. And I was just trying to say to her, like, do you realize that you were just speaking in front of all the world leaders? And yeah, she took it really well.
Sorry, guys.
Wow.
Video, but there was more to it, but it's going to go too long. So she also said how, they were doing TikToks, and they said they've been catching up with the Marshall Islands, and I asked her what is she going to bring back to share with the community, and she said that we don't have to be scientists or these important people or have to be a cop to share messages. We can just be ourselves. We can be at Mt Druitt or Liverpool, Preston's, or wherever it is we are. We can be anybody. We can be ourselves and still share the message of climate change and fighting for our islands. So yeah, otherwise the interview went on a bit too long. But yeah, I uploaded the wrong video. But yeah, that was cool, eh? They were in the room with world leaders and they were doing TikToks at the back.
It's so Pacific, right? Like they would have done that to chill them out. Like, I just love it.
Love it. Fantastic. Fantastic. Great to hear from them and good to see them shining out there. Well done, young ladies.
Yeah. And we've come to this part.
Take me to a dream when there's only dancing, romancing. Moonlight tango under your spell, where only two can share that romance and moonlight, Fijian moonlight.
Moonlight tango.
Fijian moonlight.
Moonlight thoughts.
Moonlight
what are your moonlight thoughts, Sev?
I'll keep it very short. But my moonlight thoughts for us today is be intentional about what you want to do. Keep focused and stay positive. Every choice has a consequence, and we are the sum total of all our choices. So choose well, choose wise, and choose life.
Amen. I'm amazed. Just want to thank all the young people who gave time to share their views here in Western Sydney, across the globe at COP26. If you're a young person who has something to say, speak if you need support.
Speak.
Please reach out to us. And to the adults in the room, when young people speak, shh, just listen and support. You know, don't jump on with your views too much. Just, it's so hard for young people to stand up and speak. Give them some room. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
That's it from me.
And mine is there's the Climate Justice March, and that's happening this Saturday from 12 o'clock to 2. We're meeting at Hyde Park at 11:45, and Matavai will be there. I'll be speaking at the Climate March, and at the same time, sort of, Moimwana will be speaking on the other side of the world. So if you can, come down, join the fight. Pacific Islanders will be in the front row of this march. And we'll also be dancing. So the more Pacific Islanders down there, the better. Here, Climate Justice March on Saturday, this Saturday. Be there or be square. That's me for another
12
week.
o'clock. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. And have a good night, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Take care.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for listening in. Take care.
We're going to end off with Youth for Pacific, this video again. So sign their declaration if you can on Pacific Pacific Youth Warriors.
During the global climate strikes in September this year, the Pacific came together in a different way. More than 600 young, strong, and proud Pacific Islander voices formed the Youth for Pacific Declaration on Climate Change. We, the youth from the Pacific, and the Pacific youth in the diaspora, representing frontline communities, grassroots organizations, youth networks, and indigenous peoples. We call on our global leaders to respond to the challenge of this time. Respond to the climate crisis through an intersectional lens that prioritizes justice. That promotes inclusive and just world for ourselves and the future generations to come. At this year's COP26 climate negotiations in Glasgow, we will deliver the voice of Pacific youth to our leaders. Now is your chance to join us. Now is your chance to have your say on why you are fighting for your future. Sign the Youth for Pacific Declaration on Climate Change and have your say.